Here to speak more on this case is Queen City News Chief Legal Analyst Kali Frode. So, Kali, this all seems very complicated. This has lasted decades, but is it really that complicated?
Great question. Complicated is what it seems like folks are trying to do. This case was filed in 1994, so you're talking about 30 plus years of waiting for some type of justice. But if we boil it down, it's not complicated. The Supreme Court has heard this case a number of times, and they said we have a constitutional obligation as a state to provide the basic means of education to our students. That's it. You have an obligation to provide education to your students. Who wouldn't think that was a basic constitutional requirement? How we get there is what complicates it. Having a need to do it and having the resources or the funds to do it is a total different conversation.
Well, so why has this become so polarizing and why has it lasted this long?
Well, I can say it's polarizing for a couple of reasons. It started with smaller, predominantly African-American rural communities like Hope and Halifax counties in the state where you have folks that didn't have resources. The state allocates funding per student, right? But then in these other counties, their county can supplement the education where they still need more money. Well, if you're in Mecklenburg County, you have way more resources than you do, say, in a Hope County. And so they said, listen, we're not getting equal education in our state like someone would have been in Mecklenburg County get. And so they filed this lawsuit. I think those are the rationales and the reasons why it's getting so much pushback. The other pushback is that the General Assembly doesn't believe that the court has an authority or a ability to tell them where money goes. They believe that we are the holders of the purse, and because we hold the purse, we dictate and allocate where money is spent. And if we are the people that allocate resources, we don't have to listen to what you're saying. And that's what this hearing is going to be about. The hearing is specifically about, can the court tell the General Assembly where money should go?
So what do you see happening next here?
Well, I see that there will be a continued fight. There will be a number of court hearings about what ultimately should be done, which is ensuring that students are getting access to adequate education. An outside organization came in and said that North Carolina need to provide $5.6 billion, with the B, dollars to ensure that students were adequately educated. This last budget, they said that North Carolina General Assembly shorted education $758 million. And so there's an issue with numbers here. And I understand you're trying to balance the budget, but the big issue that I have is we're at a surplus. $3+ billion surplus the last few years. So if we're at a surplus, how is there never resources for education? Not just for teachers, but for students. This is an issue across the board where funding is the key. I see at the end, the Supreme Court may have to pick this up to figure out what's going on.
Obviously, this is far from over, so we're going to be keeping an eye on this as it progresses. Kali, thank you.